Boatworks Today is sponsored by Total Boat and Alexseal Yacht Coatings, as well as supported by the generosity from the beautiful folks over on Patreon. Thank you so much. Here we go. The conversation that I never wanted to have. So welcome back to the shop, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. If I seem a little unenthused right now, it's because honestly, I am. There are some pretty meaningful changes that are going to be coming up for myself as well as for this channel. Changes that are long overdue, and when it's all said and done, I know it's going to be fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm real fired up about how this process looks like it's going to be playing out. So I'm just going to jump right into this here. I was able to meet with the surgeon last week, and yeah, he probably spent 30, maybe 40 minutes with me going over any questions that I had, the results of the MRI, and then, trying to look at different or what options might be available going forward. And unfortunately, because of the extent of the damage on my right shoulder, really the only option that I have is through surgery, which it wasn't really a surprise at all. I kind of knew that going into it. But what I was not quite prepared for was actually hearing what the extent of the damage actually is and what's going to be involved with this procedure, overall. A date has been set for April 11 to have had this procedure done on my right shoulder. And that was a bit of a compromise. The doc wanted me to actually get this done yet before the end of this month, in January. Whereas I wanted to wait until like right after Memorial Day, for a couple of reasons. Primarily because, at least right now, there are things that I need to be able to get done around here on a daily or certainly on a weekly basis, that practically speaking, I'm really the only one that can do it here around the house and whatever. But also, kind of looking at the timeline for recovery, which looks to be, about 6 or 8 months. Again, that's just to be able to get back to somewhat normal. Certainly not recovered 100% by any means. But looking at the timeline for recovery of, like that 6 to 8 months, I also have some obligations and commitments in next fall that I need to be able to do. So if I get this done in April, May, June, July, August, September, October, that gives me 6, 7-ish months, that I can, hopefully be able to do these fall obligations. Now, there's another little twist as part of all this, which is that looking into November, I want to try and get my left shoulder done. So in the same year, I'm looking to get both my left and my right shoulder done. Now, I don't think my left shoulder is quite as jacked up as my right, but the last imaging I had on my left was 3 years ago, and who knows what's happened between then and now. Couple of big reasons for wanting to kind of rifle this through both in the same year. I know when this is all said, at first, this is going to be an absolutely miserable year, and I know that going into it. But the justification primarily comes down to insurance. Right now, again, without going off in the weeds on the details here, my max out of pocket on my insurance through Blue Cross Blue Shield is, I believe, max out of pocket is around $16,000 per year. So I'm already halfway there, and I haven't even gone in for the surgery yet. So I know by the time my right shoulder is done, I'm going to meet that $16,000 threshold. And then, so from that point forward, then, as far as my understanding is, I got to look through this and read the fine print. But then my understanding is that anything up and beyond that 16 grand, that's covered through insurance 100%. Now, if I'm able to then get my left shoulder done within that same 12-month period, then again, I got to look through the details, but then I'm hoping that the entire procedure on my left shoulder will then be covered 100%. Whereas if I wait till, after January 1, then I'm going to be looking at having to come up with that extra 16 grand out of pocket because it's a new year, new policy. So I know it's not going to be, easy or certainly not enjoyable or fun. And I'm going to be probably pacing a lot over this next year. But, these are things that are long past, being, needing to be done. And honestly, I need to put this to bed. I need to put it behind me and start moving on. So that by that following spring, not this coming spring, but then that following spring, after both shoulders are done, then I should be damn near good as new. Certainly a hell of a lot better than where I'm at right now. Now, as far as the physical restrictions that I'm under from now until April, in a nutshell, nothing overhead, nothing out in front of me or off to the sides. Any motion that I do, for the most part, I need to be able to do with my elbows planted to my side. So doing all of this, that's not a problem. I can't be moving my arms around. That was our deal. He's like, as long as you can hold yourself to doing this up until April, he's like, we can hold off until April to have the procedure done. And I trust this guy's judgment. I was talking with him, just kind of asking his experience and all that stuff. Shoulders and knees is what he specializes in. If I had to spitball, I'd say he's probably my age, early 50s. But knees and shoulders, that's his jam. He said 250 shoulders a year, and he's been doing this for 15 years. So that's 3,800 procedures that he's done. And that's a good number. I feel comfortable with that. This is certainly not going to be his first rodeo. Probably something he can do in his sleep. But I guess the icing on the cake for me was that he's kind of on that cutting edge of what the new latest and greatest procedure technology is. He goes around, does presentations around the country to other orthos, kind of showing his procedure, his overall process. So to me, that sounds like he knows his shit. I mean, he's on that leading edge of what the latest and greatest is, versus talking to someone that's in their 60s that learned how to do this 20, 30 years ago. I feel a little bit more comfortable about working with this guy. So looking ahead, what does all this mean? Well, if I'm able to get both shoulders done this year, I'm looking at a pretty extensive recovery time here. And rather than looking at and focusing on the things that I'm not going to be able to do and worrying about all that, I'm gonna double down on the things that I will be able to do, things that I can do while I'm going to be laid up. And first and foremost, probably the biggest thing is consulting. That's something I do a lot of. It typically ramps up about this time of the year, and then it goes pretty hot and heavy through almost Christmas. But consulting, working with folks, one-on-one, helping them with their projects, that's something I can absolutely do, because I have the knowledge. I just am not going to physically have the means to do any of this stuff. But I can certainly walk people through how to do it, themselves. So I do all that consulting. I offer all that through Patreon. So that's something I'm going to be really focusing on. Another thing that I'm going to be hitting pretty heavily along with my wife and daughter, is going to be doubling down on Alexseal paint sales. Now, whether you're aware of this or not, we do retail for Alexseal here. Pretty much anything that you would need for rolling. I don't carry much in the way of spraying. I can certainly get it, but I don't stock that. But that's another thing we're going to be focusing on. Now, my oldest daughter, the girl that does the little happy little jingle at the end, BoatworksToday production thing. Well, she's going to be 14 next month. And for this past year, she's been helping me pretty much with every order that I've had to put out. And we've put out hundreds of orders over this past 12 months. And she's got the process down. So I'm going to be, kind of leaning on her pretty heavily. Now, what's kind of funny about all this is that she's actually going to be the one to train in my wife, because I'm not even going to be able to tape up boxes. I mean, I'm literally just going to be there just to kind of double check orders, maybe put on some the shipping labels, and that's about all I'm going to be limited to being able to do. But that's the other thing. But my wife and my girls, they're going to be doing the heavy lifting on that one. Now, as far as other things that I'll be able to do, at least on a limited basis, I'll still be able to do product and technique demonstrations here. At least demonstrations here that are going to be limited to what I'm able to do at my bench here. I've got some ideas on being able to make some like custom parts, as far as making the plug, the part, or the plug, the mold, and the part. Going through that process. Now the items that I'm looking to do, and I'm started on one already, but it's for my own personal use. The part that I'm going to be making, or the parts that I'm going to be making, may not themselves be something that you'd be interested in, but the process can easily be adapted for really making anything, whether it's consoles, hatch covers, really anything. The concept is the same. There's a little bit of creative, engineering that may need to get done to suit it to your particular application. But these are things that I think I'll still be able to do even one-handed. If you can't tell, I'm kind of scrambling a little bit, but I do have a little bit of time. So if you have any thoughts or suggestions on things that I might be able to incorporate into the what I may end up calling the GIMP series. Now, whether that's offensive or not, I don't know. I'm talking about myself. I have no problem referring to myself as a GIMP, so I'm just going to run with it. But if you have any thoughts or suggestions, on things I might be able to do, please leave those down below in the comments. Now, taking a little bit of a step back here, providing all this kind of goes as I hope that it will, what that's going to mean is that I'll be functional by September, October, to the point where I'll still be able to go to the boat shows. I know I would like to be able to attend the Total Boat Show in Newport, as well as the Alexseal show down in Lauderdale. There was talk of trying to do something in Charleston, but that's still a little bit up in the air. But by that time, my right shoulder should be at a point where I should be able to make these trips. I'm certainly not going to be 100% healed, not even close, but I should be far enough along that I should be able to make these trips. And then once I get back, and then hopefully sometime in November, then get my left shoulder done and, take that part as it comes. Now, speaking of Total Boat, I just want to say that they have been incredibly supportive throughout this whole process. I've been obviously keeping in close contact with them. They've been incredibly supportive, and I'm very lucky to have a company like that that I'm able to work with. Now, what we're trying to do between now and April is for us to be able to get together and coordinate some projects, trying to get some content banked up. Now, the tricky part about all this really comes down to the timing. Even though we're in January now, everybody in the boating industry, in their minds, it's springtime. Springtime is right around the corner. And that time of the year is always a very, very hectic time of the year. So that's what we're trying to juggle, specifically trying to get some dates, kind of worked out that everybody that needs to be involved will be available and able to be involved. Now, maybe that'll happen. Maybe all this will happen. Maybe it won't. I guess we'll just wait and see. I'm sure I'll be, talking with them pretty closely over the coming, probably, next week. So once we have some of the details, hopefully ironed out, I will be sure to let everybody here know. But I think that's about all I've got for now. Again, I just wanted to check in to give an update because I kind of fell off the map here for the last few weeks while I was trying to kind of digest all this information here and come up with a plan going forward. But again, before we kind of check out here, if you have any thoughts, suggestions, ideas on things I might be able to incorporate going forward, during the GIMP series, please let me know down below in the comment section. And also, if you're going to be looking or interested in getting some help with your projects that you have coming up, or with some Alexseal paint sales, I will have links to all of that down below in the description. So with that said, I'm gonna check out. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again very, very soon.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.